Joe Biden is going to be the lemon sorbet of presidents. If you look at his appointments and you look at the direction that he's taking, he's not going to propose anything radical. Nothing is going to change here in the state of Florida, that's for sure. Because like I've stated before, we got the job done. Joe Biden, in the state of Florida, lost our state election by almost 400,000 votes, a little less. He is going to be sworn in. The safe harbor date has passed. There is nothing that can be done constitutionally. The 10th Amendment states the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Now, looking at this, I think this is actually a great teaching moment, not only for the youth of this country, but for conservatives about what states' rights is really about. Joe Biden's presidency is going to mark a turning point, though, where we started to return back to what our founding fathers initially had in mind for this country. Power divided between the states and national government represented a middle ground, forge a union, but limit central government. National government has the power to act for the country as a whole. States have power over many local matters, and there is absolutely no ambiguity in the Constitution about us conducting state elections and no other state having any standing in another's election. Now, I'm all for a nice big wall right here to keep other states out. Personally, given what's coming. Because everyone's saying that, no one will ever vote again. No one will ever have faith in elections again if we let this stand. Baloney. We got the job done. Texas got the job done. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio. We all seem to get the job done. Conservatives in other states that lost apparently did not. But that doesn't mean, because in this particular case, a few states dropped the ball, that all of a sudden the entire nation is going to lose faith in elections. Absolutely not the case. We got the job done. Let me continue to prove my point. New York legislation, another state, a non-Florida state, could make COVID-19 vaccination mandatory. Fox 5, New York, published 19 hours ago. Let's read the facts. New York. A New York lawmaker has proposed mandating vaccination against COVID-19 if not enough residents voluntarily get the shot once it's available. Assembly member Linda Rosenthal, who represents part of Manhattan's West Side, earlier this month, introduced a bill that would require the state to safely and effectively distribute an FDA-approved vaccine in accordance with the Department of Health COVID-19 Vaccination Administration Program, according to the language of the legislation. Quote, while steps have been taken to reduce the spread of COVID-19, epidemiologists and public health experts have concluded that a vaccine will be necessary to develop herd immunity and ultimately stop the spread of the disease, the bill's support memo states. Continuing quote, the state must make efforts to promote vaccination and ensure that a high enough percentage of the population is vaccinated against COVID-19 to develop sufficient immunity. Once the vaccination program has been rolled out for a while, the Department of Health would have the authority to, quote-unquote, mandate vaccination to anyone who can safely receive the vaccine. Okay, now these are facts. This is not my opinion about what they're going to do, what they might do. This is what has been proposed, factually. Let's look up in Webster's. What is the definition of mandatory? Mandatory means obligatory. Synonyms, compulsory, forced, imperative, involuntary, non-elective. And I'll put this down first pinned comment so that you can look. for what the definition of mandatory is according to Merriam-Webster. I'm doing this, of course, for YouTube's benefit. Mandatory, definition of mandatory. Required by a law or rule, obligatory. Hence, this picture. This is the woman who has proposed in Manhattan a forced, obligatory, mandatory vaccination for people. If certain things, certain requirements aren't met for certain percentages, having it done voluntarily. This is not supposition. This is not speculation. This is fact. This is fact in New York. Tell me again, states' rights don't matter. You try that crap here in Florida, you will be recalled from whatever position of authority you have, I guarantee, virtually immediately. And you will never serve in government again. Promise you. If any lawmaker of any stripe would try that here in Florida, even proposing such a thing, they would be done. Capital D, capital O, capital N, capital E, done. Because we here in Florida value our freedom above all, no matter what. And it is our state's right to do so. We had somewhat of a heated argument last night. Well, maybe argument's a bad word. Discussion last night on Twitch about states' rights. There's some people out there that believe America is done and America's never going to have faith in elections again and it's over and Biden's going to... Baloney. Baloney. That's garbage. That's excuse making from people who didn't get the job done. People didn't do their work on the ground to fix their localities and make sure they had people in positions of power so that things that were alleged having happened didn't have the ability to happen. It's just that simple. We have good people here in Florida, but that takes work and that takes community involvement. I know it's kind of a dirty word amongst conservatives, but sometimes you have to be somewhat of a community organizer so that you know for a fact when things like elections are done, they're done properly and they're done righteously. None of that is going to change anything. Joe Biden is going to be president and Florida is still going to be conservative. Joe Biden is going to be president and Governor DeSantis is still going to be Governor DeSantis. End of discussion. Nothing is changing in Florida. States' rights is paramount. States' rights is paramount. For the next 4 years, there will be zero things changing in the state of Florida. Folks in Michigan, folks in New York, folks in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, if you're conservative by nature and you don't think you have the ability to fix things in your state, or you don't think there's a big enough movement to fix things in your state, come on down. Find some place in the South. Believe me, everything changes in 2004. And nobody's talking about it. Actually, yesterday, CNN did talk about it. Apportionment. How in 2004, Texas is going to have 3 more electoral votes. Florida is going to have 2 more electoral votes. California is going to have -1. New York's -1. Michigan's -1. Pennsylvania's -1. And how the power is swinging back to the southern states. Joe Biden is going to just be the lemon sorbet. That's all that's going to happen. He has in no way ever, in his 47 years of service, ever given any indication that he was anything other than a finger in the wind kind of guy. He's going to see which way the wind is blowing. And he knows the winds are blowing conservatively across the country. CNN even admitted it in yesterday's video. David Axelrod pretty much gave complete endorsement to the idea. 80% of the counties in the United States voted for Donald Trump. CNN reported that. Inroads were made in the House of Representatives. Very unlikely the Senate's going to flip. The courts, the ones that ironically just tossed out Trump's lawsuits, are super majority now, conservative. 6-3, I think. This man is no threat. He's the dying whimper. And the left knows it. They know it. They are literally beside themselves over some of his appointments. He is the most conservative of conservative Democrats. He's farther to the right than Clinton was. And Clinton was way to the right back in '92. There has never been a truly, completely progressive liberal president in this country. I know a lot of people think Obama was. He wasn't. And now, when you listen to Obama speak, you would think he was a conservative. Because that's all he can seem to talk about. This is a time to celebrate. This is a time to rejoice. Because 4 years of this guy is going to bring back the rebirth of states' rights. Let New York do what New York wants to do. This is a great contrast to teach the kids. Let New York do what New York wants to do, and let them live with the ramifications of it. And Florida will do what Florida is going to do. And we will live with the ramifications of it. I know everybody wants to think that we're all just this big one conglomerated thing, that the U.S. is this or America is that. Ironically, it's conservatives that talk like that, the people that should be defending states' rights. We aren't all the same. Clearly, Florida is not Pennsylvania. North Carolina is not Wisconsin. Ohio is not Michigan. And you can see it in the election results. At the ground level. Praise God, thank God, every day I live in deep red conservative Florida. Not going anywhere. And like I said, if there's going to be a wall built, that's the best place for it right there. And we would need specific IDs and proof of behavior for you to cross said wall. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you on Twitch. We're there every night around 8:30. Take care. Like, share, subscribe.